Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Turkish forces, including tanks, have crossed over the border into Syria in a joint operation with Syrian rebels to capture the town of Jarablus from so-called Islamic State militants. US military aircraft have also been carrying out airstrikes in support. Turkey's President Erdogan admitted the offensive was aimed at both IS and Kurdish fighters, prompting an angry response from Kurds who described it as a blatant aggression. Our chief correspondent Alex Thompson reports.
Turkish tanks in Syria, nothing new there, but in these numbers now and being used in the biggest Turkish invasion yet. What Turkey's strongman President Erdogan wants the world to buy is that here is Turkey attacking Islamic State forces along its border. What's wrong with that? True, they've been shelling IS positions for 3 days now in the town of Jarablus, alongside these Free Syrian Army infantry doing the dirty work on the ground. If only it were that simple, but it's not. As the man himself told the world, Turkey is after the Kurds, the PYG, as well as IS.
At 4 this morning, our army and security forces started operations in the north of Syria against terror groups which constantly threaten our country, like Islamic State and the PYD.
He's taking the gloves off, and no mistake, after the recent failed coup. Another 2,800 judges sacked today, as the US Vice President Joe Biden came to Turkey to inspect damage caused by that recent uprising. Turkey, Biden claimed, has no greater friend than the US. Then he told Kurdish forces, the YPG, they can only move so far in Syria with US support. Just the message Turkey wants.
We have made it absolutely clear to the elements that were part of the Syrian Democratic Forces, the YPG that participated, that they must move back across the river. They cannot, will not, and under no circumstances get American support if they do not keep that commitment.
Turkey has America firmly on message, it seems. It's all about the Kurds, not IS. Two recent events in Turkey precede today's ground invasion of Syria. First, the bomb attack at a wedding in Gaziantep, which killed more than 50 guests, blamed on IS. Second, the mortaring of Karkamis, a Turkish border town, blamed again on IS. That gave Erdogan all the pretext he needed, it seems, to send tanks south towards Jarablus and control it before the Kurds did.
The attacks from Syria against our country, Gaziantep, Kilis, brought this to a point where we said this is the end. We need to end this. So this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, this process has begun.
The picture's limited, but tonight several thousand Syrian rebel infantry are reported by various sources to be in control of Jarablus. IS has fled. That means Turkey's Erdogan may now have his win-win. He can plausibly say he's pushed IS out of a strategic town in Syria, but far more important to Turkey, he's stopped the Kurds in their tracks, and with that, the expansion of Kurdistan across this region.
Alex Thompson reporting. Well, earlier I spoke to Egemen Bagish, a former advisor to President Erdogan of Turkey, and I put it to him that today's events signaled that Turkey had finally invaded Syria.
Turkey has not invaded Syria. Turkey is just trying to clear its borders from Daesh terrorists. As you know, Turkey has been under attack from ISIS Daesh terrorists, especially the attack in our city of Gaziantep, where more than 50 people lost their lives. Most of them were children and women. This was during a wedding celebration, and they used a suicide bomber who was around 13 years old. And they were attacking our country, and Turkey is out there with coalition forces to fight against terrorism, to fight against Daesh terrorism.
Yeah, but you have sent tanks across the border, you have sent troops across the border, you've sent special forces across the border. It does look like an invasion.
It's a clearance effort. It's an operation to clean the area from the Daesh terrorists and other terrorists, but we have no intention to stay there. We have no intention to get any of the land of Syria. We are there fighting for the territorial integrity of Syria. Although we don't agree with the Syrian regime, we are going to protect their territorial integrity.
This has nothing to do with trying to limit the gains, the recent gains made by Kurdish forces in northern Syria.
Now we're trying to clear the area from ISIS forces. But if any PKK elements, if any PKK terrorists appear on our way and they try to block our operation, of course we will be dealing with them with the way that they need to be dealt with.
But the PKK has been very effective at dealing with ISIS. So are you now telling me that you're going to try and take on the people who've been most effective with combating ISIS on the ground in Syria?
We cannot trust any terrorist organization to wipe out another terrorist organization, because at the end we will be left out with another bloody terrorist organization. International forces, allied forces have to deal with terrorism, and that's what we're doing right now with our allies. We're fighting against Daesh terrorism. And if PKK happens to come on our way, they will be dealt with.
I read today that you have sacked another 2,800 judges and prosecutors in Turkey because of presumably their links to the recent coup. I mean, how many judges and prosecutors, how many thousands have you got rid of? And are there any left in Turkey?
Well, there are plenty of judges and prosecutors. Those who have been sacked have been found guilty of affiliation with a terrorist organization.
So they're terrorists as well? These judges are terrorists?
They have been contributing 10% of their income to a terrorist organization for the last 20 years, 30 years. And now we are finding out that they have been forced by this organization to issue verdicts in favor of those who have been giving so-called charities to the terrorist organization.
2,800 of them?
Unfortunately.
That's a lot of,
yes,
a lot of judges and prosecutors.
Of them in the last, it has taken them 30, 40 years to get that many judges in place.
Thank you very much indeed, Egemen Bagish.
Thank you.
In the Syrian city of Aleppo, there is still no progress on a 48-hour humanitarian pause which the United Nations has called for so that aid can be delivered and wounded people can be evacuated. Local media says that Russian airstrikes hit the Al-Mashhad district today, claiming that 3 people were killed and 10 wounded. Meanwhile, Syrian government forces are still trying to recapture lost territory in the southwest of that city.
I've been getting away with it all